Welcome back to another edition of the only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talk show on the planet. I am your host, Michael Karvelis, and this is Daily Dive. It is Monday, April 20th, 2026. Happy 420 to all who observe. And this show begins now. We are live streaming via the airwaves of North American Talk Radio's YouTube channel. Thank you for subscribing, liking, commenting, and all the good stuff. We appreciate you so much. On today's awesome episode, we will first talk to Pat Gregoire, who is in Halifax for a heave away as they hammered down on the Black Bears and the collapse completed and Halifax made it back. We'll talk to him about that game among some other games such as the Rush epic comeback, and stay tuned for Greggy's Grinder and Mike's Lunchbox. Then we'll talk to Captain, who saw a first-hand experience of the brawl that happened between Buffalo and Oshawa. We'll talk to him about that. Also about Vancouver's number 1 seed and Colorado losing the 1 seed to, let me get to this again just because we're here, to the Colby Bowman fan club. Yeah, we're so back. We never left, but we're so back. Back-to-back games, guys. Come on. And finally, 3 stars of the weekend. Also, stay tuned for a little bit of a week preview. Some pretty fun things coming up this week, so I cannot wait to get to that. And don't forget, Friday is the release of Lacrosse 26. I know a lot of you like the game, and so do I. Unfortunately, this is a PS4, not a PS5. We're saving up, baby. But first, we have to use our finances to go to Duluth, and then we'll get the PS5. But we might be like a week later. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Personal issues here. All right, now let's bring in a guy. Well, before I do that, the show is presented by the NLL merch found at natalkradio.us/NLL. I know that only U.S. residents can buy the merchandise from the NLL store, but if you're on Amazon, you want to shop for other stuff, you can do that too if you're from Canada. Just the NLL says, nah, we can't pay tariffs. And I get it. Whatever. All right, now let's bring in a guy who was in Halifax to watch the Thunderbirds complete their season comeback. Pat Gregoire, the Cup from Tim Hortons, said they would, and they did.
The Cup did. The roll up the rim, called it. They said it was going to happen. They predicted it.
You know,
we're good now? On. We're good? We're good?
Toggle it. But you can hear you just toggle it on if you can. Well, wait.
Now are we good?
Yeah, you sound good. Weird. You're not a can anymore.
Perfect. Not sitting in a can of chowder.
My bad. But yeah, Halifax, good job for them.
It was great. Yeah, it was a great game, great win. I all weekend I don't think it was really disappointing. I think maybe some more folks were hoping for some drama later on with winning in on Friday. That kind of took a little bit of the surprise out of some things, but all in all, a really exciting weekend. I think the brackets kind of set itself up for some good matchups in round 1, potentially in round 2, and ultimately to the finals.
Let's take a look at that bracket just real quick while we're here. The NLL posted this. Love this. I mean, they've been teasing like this magenta. This is beautiful though. I love this bracket, the way they did this graphic. Vancouver Halifax, really nice. Winner of that game plays Georgia Buffalo, and then so as I believe Adam Levy and other pointed out, Rock would not have to face the Bandits until the finals.
Yeah, that's huge, and that's something that I was talking about. That's why they wanted to win. Luckily for them, though, the loss actually keeps them away from the Buffalo Bandits. Ultimately, even if they did win, there's a good chance that they probably would have gotten away. Before we get into things, can I quickly just talk on something here? And I see a lot of people are upset. I know you were upset about it. And I'll be honest, I'm a little bit upset about it as well, too. But I also am going to be a little bit realistic here. Listen, 2 games at 9:00 at
Yeah.
the same time on Saturday. Certainly not ideal. Definitely not ideal for folks like you or myself or Captain who are going to be sitting on the couch and wanting to watch multiple games. I get that. That sucks. Here's the reality when it comes to, and I was hoping to have a conversation with someone from the league before to see if there was an effort to maybe stagger these games a little better. Until there is a major TV contract, the TV schedule is so far down the podium when it comes to what's important for the league. What is most important is ticket sales and making sure that you have as many butts and seats as possible. So flexing a Saskatchewan game to 5 p.m. local time. Folks can, it's not going to happen. It is just not going to happen. So it does suck. It stinks. It's brutal that we're going to have to flip back and forth. That does stink. But ultimately, what the franchise is, and not even the league, I think if the league had a choice, they probably would stagger it. But the 2 teams that fought all season long for it are saying, I want this time because I want as many people inside that building, because that is what lines their pockets. So
correct.
That's why I'm not going to go too hard on them. I do want to have a conversation though with the league, and I'll do my due diligence to see, because maybe there's a way that you bump Saskatchewan instead of a 7:00 local. Maybe you move it up to 8:00. So now you're looking at a 10 p.m. start. Maybe you push Colorado.
Oh, but stagger it,
Stagger it just a bit. That is the case. And so I'm going to have the conversation before I go full scorched earth and voice my opinions. That is what I'm going to do. And that is what I'm going to say. But I just wanted to enlighten some folks who were really upset. And I understand, because me personally, I'm upset too. I wanted to be able to watch all these games at different times. That's just unfortunately not the case. And until we get to a point where the league or the TV network is calling the shots and saying, listen, no, we're not doing 2 games at a time. We got to split this up. It's not going to happen. It sucks. It really does suck. But that is what the case is. Is there a world though, Mike, where maybe 1 game's an hour earlier, 1 game's an hour later, and then you have that other game? I think so. And that's where I want to have that conversation before I say, okay, well, the ball is dropped here. I just want to make it abundantly clear. If I'm the owner of Saskatchewan, if I'm the owner of the Colorado Mammoth, which I wish I was, because that'd mean I wouldn't be on this program right now talking to you. I'd
probably
be on a beach somewhere with a lot of money.
Yeah.
But that's just not the case. Ticket sales is what is most important, and they want to optimize as many butts and seats as possible. So it's hard to argue, but let's be honest, folks. Complain online all you want, because I too am upset about the reality at this point.
Yeah, and just briefly on that, I think you make an awesome point about the local times. Someone was texting me, and I won't say who it was unless they want to comment that it was them. The result of the game this weekend did not help the NLL either.
No.
I think that now I don't know how the seeding would have fallen based on who made the playoffs anyways. If the times would have changed, but it's kind of like all the good teams were. It is what it is. That's where they are locally, and not everyone lives on the East Coast, so it's not going to kill everybody. Just East Coast can be a little bit more vocal. And sure, I think the biggest complaint for me, and then I'll end it here because I don't think we have to go on this forever, is if you're doing single elimination, at least in round 1, I understand why it's more frustrating, but I'll also caveat that with this, the NLL Plus and ESPN Plus both offer the multi-view. Even though you can't hear both games, that does help a lot. So I won't complain there.
No, I'm sorry if you want. I just have the one more topic. The one more thing on this as well. But if you have something,
I was just going to mention the NLL. You may have seen this already too. The finals. This will probably be announced by people on Twitter as well. It looks like Thursday, May 14th to Sunday, May 17th, or May 21st to May 25th. if both semifinals are sweeps, the finals could begin as early as May 7th through 10th. So I just want to mention that too.
Yeah, and just two things, actually. The other one just popped up into my mind. One was keep your eyes on social for when it comes to TV scheduling. What games you can
I was going to mention that too. Good point.
Yeah. So just keep an eye out to see which games are going to be on TV, which games you'll have to watch on ESPN or TSN Plus or NLL Plus. But I imagine there will be at least a couple of games north and south of the border that you'll be able to watch on TV. And going forward, I think that will be the case as well. But be patient. It takes time for these networks to decide which games they're picking up. And I will say this. So if you are upset about the staggering or the lack thereof,
right,
don't complain to the league. Do not say this is the NLL, because I think we're very quick to be like, let's shit on the league. Let's shit on Mr. Frood. I think, and this is why I said, I wish I had this conversation with the league beforehand. Sick reporting by me. I should have done a better job and come prepared with that. But my belief is that the league would have wanted to stagger things. The pushback would have been on the ownership side. That is where I'm gonna. Two more swear words.
No,
the swear jar is getting bigger and bigger. I'm sorry.
I'm glad it's going through playoffs, thankfully, for Kyler going lacrosse out cancer. No, that's a good point, though. I think, like why the owners are in a spot where they can take as much as they can get right now. So why? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So you know what? It's unfortunate, but then again, like I can't really blame the owners for wanting optimal seating, because what they care about is about the money and the people in that building anyways. They don't care that I can't watch a game at a different time. Like, so it is what it is. Here's the answer, Mike. Let's grow this game bigger where we have a TV contract. Let's do things the right way so that one day we're not having this discussion and because ESPN or TSN or NBC or whoever is saying, we pick the schedule, you guys make it work. I think that's ultimately what it has to come to.
We're going to skip the Black Bears part of this because we can do that for another day. But for let's focus on Halifax, because they did make the playoffs, and shout out to them for beating up Ottawa as we transition to our game stuff there. But appreciate your comments on the other stuff there. Halifax won 12-6 in a game that you broadcasted. Can we get a major round of applause, even though they already do it themselves, for wait for it? 5 sellouts for Halifax this year. 5 sellouts, baby! Another barn packed into the gills. Freaking love it. But good job for Thunderbirds deserve that, because I've been talking with the fans all year. They deserve it, so I'm rooting for them now because of that stuff.
Yeah, it was a big storyline going into that game, Mike, is that everyone obviously talking about playoff Jeff Teat, the first time Ottawa can get into the playoffs. Another big thing that we talked about as well was the fact that Halifax, since moving to the East Coast, had never missed the playoffs. That this fan base, all they knew was, sure, they don't know playoff success. They only got their first taste of playoff victory and a playoff home game last year. But the fan base, they didn't know what it meant to miss the playoffs. They didn't know what it was talking about. Instead of during the spring talk about, okay, who's our first round matchup, having to potentially be like, okay, who are we drafting in the first round? That just didn't happen. That's just not the case in the East Coast. But you look at the way that Halifax finished the season, winning 3 of their last 4. I think I came on this program a couple of weeks ago and I said, listen, I think the only game they can lose is Vancouver, and they lost that game. It was a close game. You lose to Toronto in overtime. You have that epic comeback, just fall short of Georgia. I think some teams would have just packed it in and said, well, this is just not our year. Instead, they fight through it. And listen, the cool bet odds aren't out for round 1 just yet. They should be out soon. It wouldn't be surprising for, Vancouver to be a pretty heavy favorite there, despite Coolbet always kind of giving a little bit more love to Halifax just because they are such a public team when it comes to Coolbet. But I don't think Vancouver's overly thrilled with being matched up with Halifax. I think they proved that a couple of weeks ago. I think Vancouver probably does come out on top in this, but I think there is a path for Halifax to potentially upset Vancouver.
Yeah, that's a good point about the Vancouver part of it because, I mean, granted, I'm looking at all the teams right now. I see 8 very good goalies, actually, so I'm actually kind of happy we got these matchups.
Good point.
Well, let's be fair, like Warren Hill, if he's the worst one, he's been awesome this year. We're in for a heck of a lot of unders on Polar Bears, just saying. But no, you're right. I want to mention the Halifax part of it just to piggyback off that point about the goalies. And just the schedule they had to get here. There were 2 teams that the Tim Hortons Cup said would make the playoffs, but it kind of lost some 1-goal games to awesome teams. The Birds and the Seals. And a lot of people like me, maybe even on the show, maybe you said a couple times, it was like, yeah, you got to finish the job. But glass half full was we play the contenders to the freaking brink. Don't let us get a single game elimination. And look what the Black Bears did. They opened that door, and now Vancouver and all these, what was the other one? Vancouver and Colorado. Oh, don't you love that Colorado's got to see San Diego? Those guys. I mean, it's unbelievable.
It really is. It really is. And you meant a lot of talk about, the abundance of those 1-goal losses that Halifax had throughout the year. They actually had 7 of their 10 losses were by 2 or less.
Oof.
Like if one or 2 of those flip the other way, listen, we're talking about a team that probably is, and the Cup did call that as well. Good
Crazy.
call, Captain. So I think that this Halifax team, despite probably on paper being one of the weak.
Go ahead.
Oh, that's great. Despite it being like maybe one of the weakest, if not the weakest, Halifax Thunderbirds team on paper, I still think they are a better team than what their record does show.
Yeah. One more thing before we move on to the next game here. I decided to not do a Dilly Dive segment of the year, but if there was one, I think Tim Hortons Cup by Captain was a pretty good one looking in hindsight.
Yeah, 1,000%.
It just, the fact that it was right for no freaking reason whatsoever is kind of fun. All right, so let's move on to the next game if you want.
Are we letting Ottawa off the hook here?
I mean,
I know we're tight.
We're not tight for time. Like, here's what bothers me a little bit about Ottawa, a lot of it. Jeff Teets was in MVP talks, and I don't know if you saw, but Rob Hellyer kind of closed the gap in points on that team. And regardless, I know the others were not helping out at all. Callum Jones, Defensive Player of the Year. I think that's still a thing, but I think it's a whole lot closer than we want it to be now.
Mm-hmm.
It's the others let this team down, man. Like Dan McCray, Coach of the Year, fell on its face. So did the GM. Like they had 3 guys that could have won 4 awards, and it all fell flat. It just sucks.
It does. And listen, I like what Dan McCray is building there. I think they've got a great coaching staff and the right coaching staff in place. I think that they've got some great pieces, and I will give Brian Beasel, the defensive coordinator, and Dan McCray a lot of credit.
Of course.
I was pretty constructive criticism, I guess you could say, when it comes to this offense. I was critical. When it came to this defense. I said that, they're a team that's going to have to outscore their problems. I said it's a team that unless Higgins stands on his head, they can't win games. Down the stretch here, Mike, their defense and Higgins played much, much better. 12 against Halifax, 10 against Toronto, 12 against Georgia, 10 against Vancouver, 13 against Calgary is probably too high, 10 against Colorado. The defense and Higgins started to figure things out. It wasn't just Callum Jones putting the team on his back. They started to play a little more sound defensively. They were getting away from that, high risk, high reward defense and playing more sound. Obviously, it helps when your goaltender is making those saves from the outside. It changes everything.
Right.
But once they started to figure it out, the offense just completely fell off a cliff. 6 goals in back-to-back games against Toronto and Halifax, 7 against Georgia, 8 against Vancouver, 9 against Calgary, single digits in your last 5 games must win.
And one win might feel awesome. Yeah.
This team was 8-5 on March 7th. We were talking about them potentially winning and being a home playoff game in round
which
number 1.
Which would have been great for that franchise.
It would be fantastic. And everyone's talking about Halifax punching their ticket in. There's not enough people talking about how massive of a collapse this is.
The Black Bears left the door open, which is what I keep saying. Yeah.
It is 100%. I don't want to say 100% because maybe it's a segment for another day, but the blame chart, the blame pie. That's another good segment. Maybe not quite the roll up the rim advertisement,
right.
But a big reason is the secondary scoring just completely just going dry. And if I'm Dan McRae, I can be proud of what he was able to do in year number 1. I think he can hang his hat on building a great culture and turning things around, bringing in some good pieces. They've got a first overall pick, and it's going to be a good one, or first round pick, and it's going to be a good one. They get it from Oshawa. But I think major changes have to be made at some point here. Just bringing in just Hellier was not enough for this group at all. We thought that bringing in one piece was going to be enough. Listen, I know Jeff Teat got to be, he's got to get in. We talk about best player in the world, and no doubt about it. But when you talk about legacies,
5 years,
when you talk about the best of the best, you got to also win in big moments. And it is,
and you have to overcome this stuff. Like, just because you're the only good guy on the team, supposedly, you've got to win one of these games, bro.
And honestly, in that first half though, Mike, like, they scored 4 goals and he had 4 points. He ends up with 5 points, and they only scored 6 goals.
First quarter or fourth quarter. I don't know what it is. Second and third quarter, he goes away.
I'm very curious, Mike, too, and this is off topic, if he's hurt. Like, I wonder if he's hurt. I don't know.
The fall-off would explain that. Because I did the same thing for Lyle Thompson. Why not do it for Jeff Teat?
Yes, because, like, again, he still had a solid end to the year, but it wasn't like take over games, Jeff Teat, like we saw at the start of the year. So I don't know what the change is. I don't know if it's, bringing in another big piece, bringing in another defender. Something has to change. I just think you can't run back this exact same group and expect a different result. And especially if you're Dan McRae trying to truly build something different and not just be the same teams of yesteryear when it comes to Ottawa and the New York Riptide. Something's got to change, and I think it will. This is a crushing way to fall short of the playoffs. I think you look at all the teams that missed the playoffs. I have a hard time saying that this is the most disappointing and difficult result that you'd have to live with all all off season.
Oh, CLM made a good point this weekend. There was a couple of goals early where Teat might not have gotten off as fast as he should have. And I had given him credit early in the year for getting back on defense a couple of times. The fact that he was struggling to get off there might be something, even if he's not telling the team, we're trying to cope with this, okay, is what we're doing right now.
Yeah, there is some coping going on. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, clear indication is how quickly we see him back in the PLL. Like, if it takes him a little while to get back there, then that's what we're looking at. But I want to say,
go
ahead.
So a couple of things here. Troy, full of great takes, told me earlier, as the show started, actually, Ottawa's not hard to play against. That's a great take. It sounds simple, but it's a great take.
No, of course.
Shut down Jeff Teat. Winner, winner, winner. Like, that's bad.
And it's a great point too, because being tough to play against, I think a lot of people just assume big tough defense like a Buffalo Bandits or something like that. Right. It's also being tough to play against offensively. Quick ball movement, running hard off the bench, a team that pushes the ball in transition, a team that's relentless in the ride game, a team that loose balls.
Seals prioritize loose balls.
Yes, of course they do. And you look at what the Seals did in that Friday night game, the intensity, even on the Las Vegas side. Mike, if you showed me that game on Saturday night and you take away the score bug, you put the game on mute and you just watch those offensive sets for Ottawa, and you told me, oh, this game took place February 14th, Friday, 2026. I believe you. There was zero intensity, zero urgency out of a team that was in a must-win. You just look at what that was there. That looked like just another night. It did not have that playoff atmosphere feel for them. And then you look on the flip side with Halifax, that was a team that was hungry to get in. That was a team that came ready to play. That was a team that answered the bell right away, and they did not give up. They did not give up that lead. It was never in doubt. They were in cruise control that entire game. Two completely different vibes, and I don't know why.
I think another thing that bugs me about them being tough to play against, if it is as simple, it seems to be, as stop Jeff Teat, there's the best teams, there's multiple ways you have to beat them. And if the way to beat the Black Bears, every game he goes mute, they fall on their face. I can't think of a game that they've ever won where he was not awesome and they won it. I can't think of one. He has to be awesome. It's like LeBron. Like, can I please be a third wheel for the Lakers this year for once in my life? Like, it's incredible. Quick story here, and we're gonna go over. Who cares? You want to see a crazy stat? This, right? Start 8-5.
Yeah.
This is gross. That's not. Do people understand the difference here? 1 year and 5. That is insanity. Just flip the records.
Yeah, that's nuts. That's actually crazy now that you line it out that way. And the one talking point that we kept hearing about this group, Mike, was that for the first time that they've played since being in, like, even back to the Riptide days, was fate was in their hands. Fate was in their hands. They controlled their own destiny. Like we saw there, they start 8-5 and push back, get to 8-10, but just fall short. And they said, you know what? Yeah, we almost had it there. We almost had it there. Just, if we didn't start out slow,
whatever. Yeah.
The bounces didn't come our way. No excuses this year. You're 8-5, and realistically, all you need is one more win and you get in. You look through that final 5 games, one win, you're in safe and sound, and you can't do it. I'm not putting this on Dan McRae at all. In fact, I think Dan McRae, this is going to drive him nuts all offseason long. He's going to beat himself up about it. If I'm in that locker room and my name's not Callum Jones or Jeff Teat and maybe even Zach Higgins, I'm scared. I'm absolutely scared.
I agree with that. We're going to end on a positive note. I want to circle back to the Jeff Teat thing real quick. I was about to compare him to Steph Curry, like this season, like ankle stuff. Another, just again, coping speculation here. It makes, because I was like, he can't blow by guys. And against the Rush, what was he doing? Yeah. So let's end this game on a positive note. I want people to circle back to when the Thunderbirds trade away Dawson Theed, and just, it felt like almost a punt, but it wasn't a punt. Like, what are they doing? To test out some young guys. He won't win it. But Patty, can Micah Kersey sneak into a couple of ballots on the Coach of the Year? Another guy who I was ratting on, and I know the Black Bears had to do this, but Halifax also had to climb back. So,
listen, is he going to be on my top 3?
Probably not.
Probably not. But like, how could he not be in the conversation for a 4 or a 5?
Kind of like Warren Hill, he earned my respect this year a whole bunch.
5-game losing streak from January 10th to February 21st.
Oof.
And they're sitting at 3-7. They win 2 in a row, get to 5-7. They drop 2 in a row, get to 5-8, 5-9. And then, like I said, you win your last 3 of 4 and get in. You have to give him credit for keeping this team in believing that they could get it done. After, I guess it would have been, the loss to Toronto. He said, we feel like we're in a okay spot.
Right.
And I was like, really? I didn't say that to him, but I was thinking in my head, really? You're in an okay spot? We win our last 3 of 4, or we win out, and I think we're in. And he called his shot and did it. You got to give him credit.
And even the Georgia game, like that was the last game and they had a big letdown. We're like, oh, how could you start that bad? And maybe it was good that the game happened like that. All right, let's move on. Oshawa Firewolves. We're going to talk to the captain about this game as well, but we'll touch on the Bandits piece of this a lot here. Season high, actually, 6,018 reported attendance here. So, but they'd always been packing the barn. Captain was telling stories about the media getting kicked out of their regular seats. It was pretty good for them.
Yeah, it was crazy. I was obviously not in attendance, but a lot of people I knew were in.
Right.
My mom was at the game.
There you go.
Gary Grew was at the game as always.
Well, PK from BSC was there, Buffalo Sports Collective.
Yeah, he was there. And then, just obviously with it being Tucker Out Lymphoma Night, a lot of the Oshawa community was there. They showed up. Actually, all of Durham lacrosse was out. And then a lot of people from Buffalo made the trip. It sounded like this was the game to be at. Walking out of the game, my mom said, like, hearing conversations around that people were like, man, I wish there was more games this year. Like, that was awesome. Like, from some new fans, that was their first game. So, I think it's a perfect way to end a nightmare season for Oshawa. Like, the season has gone so bad, it's a nightmare, but the best way to end the season possibly happened for them there. And I think the fans don't leave with a salty taste in their mouth, and that actually makes them excited for the year to come. But a lot of work needs to be done in the off season.
So I want to touch on a few things here. I think you'll like these. We'll play a quick video as well. So this result, because Oshawa beat Buffalo, and by the way, it's not like Buffalo wasn't trying. They were getting their butts kicked around. Desert Dogs actually got the Tucker Out Cup. Awesome stuff there. Of course, the Oshawa Bandits were in their Tucker Out uniforms as well. The Bandits squandered an opportunity for a home playoff game, so now they have to come to our house, baby. I'll try to be good all week. And here's the thing. So Dyson Williams, and then we'll get to the Bandits part of this. He told I have shared a clip on social media the captain got from the post game where Dyson actually talks about a full circle moment playing with Ryan Benesh and actually beating Buffalo, which is ironic for him. I want to get to the beginning of this interview, though. I won't play the whole thing, where Dyson talks a lot about the character of this team. I thought it was a good point that he made. Real quick here. Oh, come on. You're sitting down.
Summarize this entire night for you and your family in one word.
It's a head scratcher. Just gotta say, Tucker, felt him the whole night. That win was for him. The boys responding for
This part
to everyone. That's for him. I think we all had a little bit of Tucker in us tonight. What a tough win. That's a 3-peat champion right there. And yeah. Game 18, we're out of the playoffs, and we show up like that against the best team in the last 3 years. That's that doesn't show you something about this locker room, I don't know what will.
Love that, because again, it's easy to kick them when they're down. Why would you want to play? He mentioned, why would Ryan Benesh want to play? Love of the game. And that it does. He mentioned also about how Buffalo had to lose. Now, granted, it's been different, but like, if their group if they are believing in some young core, and they all seem to be talking about, Alex Simmons earlier this year talked about how young they were. If that's what Glenn Carcass sold them on, I wouldn't be surprised if next year or the year after that, like, they go on a serious run of 5 years in a row. I don't know if it's going to happen, but they're saying the right things.
Yeah, there's clearly belief in that locker room. There's clearly, again, it was such an emotional night for the Williams family, for that team, with knowing obviously the history and just the magnitude of the moment. But it was also emotional knowing that, okay, this could be Ryan Benesh's last game in the NLL. Like, this could be the last time this group plays together. This could be the last time that they play with their coach under helm. Like, they probably use that as a rallying point. Game 18 against the Bandits, like, every person, including me, shout out, I'll put up my hand. I had them Bandits on the ball line, -1.5. Like, these guys
That was
could
your
have
one
easily
loss
packed
for
it
the
up.
record.
I know.
Good best bets champion.
So to be quite yes. So to be honest, man, like, I love the fight. I love the way he answered that. I love that he obviously believes in the group. It's just, okay, you can have so much belief, and now what do you do with it now? So it's going to be a long off season for those guys. I know they're going to go away and play summer ball. Dyson will be back in the PLL. A lot of the other guys will be playing in MSL. That's great and dandy. But when it comes to training camp, Mike, I don't know how much of this team is going to be together, because I do think they need a lot of changes. But what it leads me to believe is the fact of the matter is that, listen, the belief is there. The culture, I think, is there. But now it's time to put some results up on the board.
Speaking of on the board, here's another, again, they got to show the graphic again. We can kind of combine these two, because Georgia swept Rochester.
Yep.
And so because of that, then Bandits became huge Nighthawks fans, and Nighthawks packed their barn out of nowhere, by the way. Adam Levy said it was the most attended Rochester game in Blue Cross Arena without the Bandits being there since 2008.
Yeah.
It's not bad. Last time the Nighthawks were good, probably. Anyways, so Bandits will, as Captain says, come to Mike's house. Bandits got goalie, and it could easily happen again. So, God, this is a tough matchup. And I know we can get to the matchup part of it, but man, is this? I know the Bandits are 3-time champions. They've been to 4 or 5 straight finals. Let's do a 1 to 10. I know you're prepared for this. Scale of 1 to 10. How important was it for Buffalo's side to not play game 1 in Buffalo, but rather in Duluth? Are you super high on that, or you don't really care from Buffalo's standpoint?
No, I mean, I think I truly think that it would have been much better for them to get that home floor advantage. I think you factor in travel, you factor in, you're not going to have a full arena cheering you on, having that momentum on your side. It's going to play a role, but at the end of the day, Mike, I still just think there's just so much belief in that locker room that they can get it done. I think a little bit of adversity actually is not the worst thing for them, them to roll into that game and get punched in the mouth and be like, okay, yep, you know what? Okay, we're on a roll right now, guys. But we're not, we bleed here. We're human. Yeah. I don't think that's the worst thing for them. I also don't think that a challenge in round 1 is also the worst thing. A team that has given them fits before. Sure, in game 1, they dominated, but that Georgia team is a lot different than what they've seen before. So I think the game is certainly going to be closer now. I think it's going to be a low scoring, grinded out type of lacrosse game. But we've seen it before. Think back to a couple years ago, Josh Byrne in overtime, game on his
Buffalo.
stick inside Buffalo. It's
Were
a
you there for
butterfly
that game?
effect.
Was that your game?
I was not. No, I was not.
I hear your voice for some dumb reason. Go ahead.
No, it's all good. It would have been a special night to be there, no doubt. And I just, like I say, like, if that doesn't happen, the course of the NLL history has changed. So,
yeah,
I think it's going to be a close game. I lean Bandits, but that Georgia defense and Brett Dobson's going to give that offense everything they can handle. And hopefully Buffalo, for their sake, they had some injuries. Doga was out of the lineup. Clay Scanlon was out of the lineup. So if they can get healthy, if they can get back, they probably feel a lot better about it. But I don't know. I don't think the trip down to Duluth is scaring them by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, it's travel wise from the airport. It's not the most fun. But
No. But it's the Bandits. I think they're going to be okay.
I was hearing from people with the Swarm that they really wanted a home game, which actually shocked me because I had said on the show, and maybe they heard it, maybe they did. I was like, I don't really know if these guys who live up north really care. I was just zooming on Pat drinking. Is that what we're doing? Like, let's not let Mike talk. Let's just zoom in on, hey, he's drinking. Who gives a crap? AI. Anyways, side tangent. No, but I was like, I was shocked. I was pleasantly shocked to hear that they were okay with, like, they wanted a home game. And I think it shows when they just beat Rochester. They smacked the crap out of them both games. And I think that mattered. Nolan Burns, shout out, by the way.
Yeah, shout out Nolan Byrne. What a great season he had. Led the league in rookie goals.
Which I did not see coming, by the way.
No, I think a lot of people had CJ Kurse winning that crown for sure.
Especially without Mark Matthews the last two games.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, Brad Dobson MVP. Brendan McDaniels was stoked. I mean, it's obvious, right?
It's a no-brainer. Like it's not even close. Like, listen, like, I think you can make a case for some other players. Like, okay, Keegan Ball, let's just say, led the league in points, career highs for him. Was quote unquote the best player on Vancouver team that ends up first seed. But you look at his roster, you look at the other players, you look at Christian Del Bianco, you could make a case that actually Christian Del Bianco is the most valuable player.
You're right about that.
On his own team. You look at Dane Smith, what a great season he had. Certainly not as historic, but okay. Then again, you look at what about his cast of characters? What about Matt Vince? You look at San Diego with Zach Currier, and I tweeted it on Friday night, and I said, like, we have to have a hard, honest conversation about maybe Zach Currier being a potential MVP for what he is able to do. I mean, he willed that team to victory.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, it's Brett Dobson, and it's not particularly close.
Graham Perro's tweet was like, he was so
perfect.
Historic. You can't not give it to him.
It was the best statistical season we've seen from a goaltender
by far
in the 8, and especially in the 18 game seasons that we've had. Best save percentage, best goals against average. He took a team in Georgia that was full with fresh faces and young players and turned them into a team that a lot of people were saying either on the outside looking in, or maybe a 7 or an 8, or maybe even a 6 seed, to a team that's hosting a playoff game. And now all of a sudden deemed as a dark horse to win the NLL Cup. It's Brett Dobson's award to win and nobody else.
COVID season aside, Lyle Thompson had 29 goals this year. That's the least since, you guessed it, his rookie year.
It's crazy. It's crazy, man.
And again, Dobson had to do that with that offense, and it was like that all year long, maybe until the last little stretch. But Captain made a great counterpoint to me, by the way. Not one player in the league wants to play in Bandit Land. So, okay, this is George, or is it not wanting to play in? That's a good point. Good job, Captain.
Listen, one more thing on Dobson, too.
Go ahead.
Listen to the score lines of the team's losses. There's a couple outliers here, but 15-11 in the first game of the year against Buffalo, funny enough. 7-4 against Saskatchewan. 7-5 against Colorado. 9-5 against Philadelphia. Then there's a 14-7 against Vancouver. And then 9-7. His team in those losses just didn't hold up their end of the bargain.
At all.
At all. We could be talking about a guy that turns his team undefeated. He did everything he could do except for 2 off games. It's not close.
Hey, Pat, how many times, I know you have it in front of you too, but if this is an insane stat. If the Swarm scored 9 goals, they were 12-1.
That's what I mean, dude.
That does not make any sense.
It doesn't. It makes no sense. It's historic. It's iconic. And, I think everyone is trying to just put other names in their head because that's what we do. It's just what we do as media. It's what we do as fans. Don't overthink it, voters. Please not overthink it. It's Dobson.
Or Brent McDaniels will burn down the Rochester building. He was awesome at the end of that game.
It should honestly, if you don't have him as number 1 in your ballot, you probably should lose
He said that. I was like, oh my God.
I didn't hear that. That's amazing. And
it was pretty if you don't vote for him, we need to question. Oh my God.
He loves his Bonnies, man. He's a proud alumni of St. Bonaventure.
Well, he's also a big Rochester. He does not do that on Rochester broadcast a lot. When he understands game. Anyways, listen, man, I will hold this forever and owe to him later. But if ever season high report attendance for Saskatchewan, as we're transitioning to that game, Jake Naso, in the same quarter that Nick Rowlett had a goal, Jake Naso said, "Bump you, sir. Crusaders stand up." How about 2 goals? Montana Lacrosse League reference. 2 goals for Jake Naso.
Huge.
Watching that game, I know that things had to happen after that. But and I want to make this a Jake Naso part of the show here. I was shocked because I was like, man, they need a juice goal from a Boudreaux, a Messenger, and I don't think there's anybody in the world twice that could have scored and got them more fired up than Jake Naso twice. He's literally not. He's fast and he's good at face-offs. He runs off the floor immediately. Okay.
Yeah.
But I saw him in Montana. The dude does not care if you blast him. He's a fighter, man. That's a scrappy little dude.
Yeah, he is. I won't comment too much on Jake Naso. We will talk about him in a little short while if you catch my drift. This is a huge win. Huge win for Saskatchewan. I don't think it's really a bad loss for Toronto. Sure, do you want home floor advantage? Absolutely. But you don't have Mark Matthews. They're still battling injuries on their back end. We'll see what happens if Matthews is back, and maybe if Dan Craig is back. Dan McCraig.
He's closely retired. Recently retired.
Phil, I know they've got Phil Mazukas and Justin Martin. I think those guys are probably out long term.
No,
but you had those guys. You had those guys back in on the front end. You go to Sask. Obviously, you would have loved that game to be at home, but I don't think Toronto's panicking too much. This is a ginormous win, though, for Saskatchewan. I said it on this program a couple weeks ago. I was really hard on them last week. But I did say last 2 games of the year, if they win 2, championship contender. If they split 2, okay, we'll see. And if they go 0-2, hit the panic button. Things are bad and bleak in Saskatchewan. They split and they find a way to win. They find a way to come out on top, Mike. And I think that we can talk about this team being a championship contender again. They got a real tough matchup against Toronto in week number 1, in playoff round number 1. But I'm getting that belief in that group again. Maybe they just don't have the offensive punch, that they had at the start of the year.
Sure.
But they found a way to win. They got the monkey off their back. I think that we're in for an absolute banger for this 3 versus 6 matchup.
I want to be honest. I think the toughest matchup for them is actually. I mean, that's a lie because I did say earlier in the year that I thought Colorado, when the Rush were on their high horse, I thought Colorado was the team that could beat them, actually. But I'm gonna go on record now. All right, I'm not predicting anything crazy. I'm just saying I could see a scenario where the worst thing that could happen to the rest of the league was the Rush fell so flat they were down 7-0 at home. And since that point, I'm curious to see how their season ends.
Yeah.
Was that what they needed at that moment?
Yeah.
All right. Last time playing the music. I don't want to cry, but it is emo-ish. Holy Grail's coming up, and Greggy's Grinders first.
Yes, of course. All right, I'll try to be quick with this one. Jake Naso, you mentioned it. 2 juice goals, 4 goals in 2 weeks. Who had that on their bingo card? He come up big 2 weeks in a row now, winning faceoffs, but scoring those big goals. I think he was a big reason why they came back in that game. So I'm going to give some love to Mr. Naso. I'm going to steal some of your thunder, and hopefully you didn't have this guy, but he's your guy. This is your Mona Lisa. You talked about him last year, and boy, he has been great in some of these games, most notably the last 2 weeks where he's been called upon and has been incredible and has clinched 2 wins. I'm talking about Colby Bowman this week, 47 saves on 53 shots on goals, 6 goals against. I think now all of a sudden,
we're going to work on the logo.
all of a sudden, it's not just the Colby Bowman fan club, CBFC, talking about this. I think there's going to be internal conversations with the Roughnecks saying, do we have a goalie controversy on our hands?
Before you get to your actual grinder,
yes,
I just want to mention,
yes.
I'm gonna be sick for Aiden Walsh, man. I would be sick if Colby Bowman turned into the next. Come on, man! Like, how do we win?
I know. Tough call. I don't think they're ready to, call it quits on Walsh, but I mean, Colby Bowman obviously proving that in a small sample size, maybe he is a starting goalie at some point. Last but certainly not least, it's the game that I had my eyes glued on the most. I talked about him quite a bit in the broadcast. I think it was the best game I've seen him in his pro career. Colton Armstrong, a goal, an assist, 7 loose balls, 2 caused turnovers. And the most impressive thing for me was how well he contained Jeff Teat when he was on the floor 5-on-5. Matched him with speed, matched him with athleticism, and really did a good job marking up the lefties, as most notably, though, number 51. I thought it was a tremendous game. Like I said, one of the best games I've seen him play. And it's a little bit of a sidebar, or maybe, he's the grinder, but the grinder's grinder this week, Trevor Smith, coming back the last 3 weeks, has allowed guys like Armstrong and Hossack to jump more in transition and get a little more aggressive, because he's that rock in the back end. He's that stability piece. So with him and Armstrong on that 2-man side game, it allowed Army to be more like himself. And I thought earlier in the year, he was kind of playing outside of himself. Now that Smith's back, what a game. What a game.
I've always wanted to do like a nickname segment. How about Arm & Hammer for Mr. Armstrong?
Ooh, I like that. I like that.
Now, we don't want to bring up the Bleach brand, but you said Army, like the Arm & Hammer would be good. All right, anyways, love that. And thank you for doing Greggy's Grinder all year on the show, by the way. Little nod to the past there, sir. I have been teasing something all year long. I'll show you the front of it for now. And I'll let you know there is a thermos. So this is a Star Wars lunchbox, right? Is it an X-Wing? I think it's an X-Wing. Right?
Don't ask me.
Okay.
That's a question for Teddy.
Oh, God. I was hoping you were a Star Wars fan. You're fired, by the way.
Damn it.
Jeez. Hey. No, that's not even the best part. So we're going to give that we're doing that for our nominees to start, our 2 nominees. Number 1 is going to go to, where's it at? Oh, Jake Naso. I feel bad that we both just gave him a nominee. I feel bad for the guy. But
he,
I mean,
he earned it.
Yeah, 2 goals. I mean, two of the biggest juice goals you will ever see. He has got some talent. One of those Duke guys in the NLL who are just from that Dyson Williams class is just cooking. Good for him. Was getting knocked around by rock players because obviously that's what you want to do when the guy's winning face-offs. Who's that little? It's like, okay, let's try to push him around. He's like, okay. The one outside shot he took was, oh, okay. Jake Naso says, balls. Like, drag them puppies around. All right, next up. He was also like stared down the crowd. That was nasty. I'm gonna give the Firewolves as a whole just the young core. You mentioned it might have just been fighting for their maybe they don't play together again. We don't know, or at least certain guys don't. But I think when Dyson Williams said sold me, like, game 18, Buffalo's fighting for a home game. Forget about it. No, before the Emerson Clark fight, they were beating them up anyway. So it wasn't just Emerson Clark. This was the entire game. Buffalo could not even get within after arm's length. That was it. Great stuff there. Even Dougie with a sprint of a lifetime. Usain Bolt would be proud. And finally, so we have to turn this lunchbox towards the wall. You're like, why? The entire original cast signed that lunchbox.
Oh my goodness.
James Earl Jones, Kerry Fisher, Harrison Ford, a guy who apparently no one knows the name because he had to put R2D2 at the bottom of it. I mean, everyone, I think like Lando signed it. Everybody you can. Then the only one that didn't sign it was 3PO, but my dad was at like some yard sale. He's like, how much is this? He was like, no way. Heck yeah, I'll take that. I don't know why that's even a thing.
That's incredible. That is absolutely incredible. I thought you were showing me that and saying, oh, like when I was a kid, I actually stole this and I started writing on it.
No.
That's amazing.
We have to be very careful about that thing too. Like it's like literally to preserve the life, you like face so the dust doesn't collect on it. It's incredible.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So that is going to go. It's also, I decided to not do Lunchbox next year, but I will give a golden lunch. I will let you do Greggy's Grinder, but I would rather just do Greggy's Grinder to not take away your thunder. So I thought I'd show the Holy Grail now. And I'm having a golden Lunchbox award on Wednesday. My final Lunchbox of the season, though, goes to a man. Everyone wants him traded. It's like Giannis in Milwaukee, like this guy's got to go. Like he doesn't want to be there. They suck now. The man who built the place, one of the co-hosts of one of the greatest podcasts I've ever heard.
Love it.
Tyler Pace, man. Yep. All the noise about, Vancouver's so cool. Maybe he does go there. Or maybe he says all the right things. I freaking love this team. Yep. It was awesome again. I know Tanner Cook's been great. Braden Maye, what a performance. But, I mean, Colby Bowman, like you said. But Tyler Pace, shout out, credit where it's due, man. Who needs friends? We're making new friends in Calgary. Red is back. Like, come on, bro. Good for Tyler Pace.
Yeah, I love that. I think he's completely bought in. He has a new mindset and, he signs long-term. Like, he's going nowhere. He's going absolutely nowhere.
New commenter happens to do broadcasts. That's Dan Malta.
I love that.
Firewolf.
I love that.
Good stuff. Thanks, you,
Dan.
Pat.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah, right.
Also great season. Great season with the
Brendan Glasheen is hard to fill, but I thought those guys were awesome though.
Yeah. Dan, and with his crew, with Scott and Parisa, I thought you guys did a phenomenal job. So kudos to you guys doing a great job in your first year. Excited to see what happens next year with this Oshawa team though, for sure.
Pat, do you have any games this weekend or you're not allowed to say, or we don't know yet?
Don't know yet. We'll figure it out.
Even if you did, you wouldn't say it on the show. You just let the broadcast catch. Thank you, Pat.
Perhaps. Quickly before we go. I know we're already over time. Odds for the NLL Cup back up at Coolbet, but there's also to reach the NLL Cup finals odds just dropped. So Buffalo,
I'll show on screen while you're saying it, by the way.
Okay. Buffalo and Vancouver plus 350, both the favorites as it stands right now. Colorado Mammoth plus 465, plus 250 for them to make the final. Saskatchewan plus 500, 275 to make the final. 500 for Georgia to make the final, plus 750 for them to win it all. Toronto Rock plus 525 to make the final. And then the Toronto Rock plus 900. And then you can see the two long shots there down at the bottom. So clearly, obviously, when you look at this, the sports book seems to think we're on a collision course, perhaps, for Vancouver and Buffalo, although they both play each other in round 2. So maybe it's going to be whoever wins that is the team that probably is going to win. That's their mindset. But I mean, when you look at value, I think Colorado plus 465 might be some good value, just considering they're on the other side of the bracket. But
I was going to say Saskatchewan, the winner of Saskatchewan and Toronto would actually be a very. I want to see the Rock just because, like, what did they do get through? Like, do the Mammoth want to play the Rock team because they are mean?
Plus 525 for them to make the final. That seems a good value, no?
Oh, and then just do the maybe like do the Bandits or the Warriors, like throw something on both those guys. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. A little hedge scenario. I like that.
Woo! Thank you, Pat. Polar bears are never free, but they are generous sometimes. Shout out to the winner of Best Bets as well, sir. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mike. Thanks for having me each and every Monday morning. Appreciate it. This has been a part of my favorite. Used to be a Monday morning routine. Now it's a Monday afternoon routine. So I appreciate it. But, we'll still talk during playoffs, right?
Happy playoffs, Pat Gregoire. Thank you. Oh, man, we're back. We are so back. Playoff edition of Daily Dive. When we come back, we're talking to Captain about the Seals. And, of course, Desert Dog season, by the way. I was short there for a minute. And also the one seed that was not for Colorado. Doesn't matter in Vancouver. Good stuff there. And stay tuned for 3 stars. You're watching Daily Dive. We'll be right back. Stay tuned, folks.
You're listening to North American Talk Radio, the all-new talk radio station featuring sports, movies, politics, mental health, and more. Check us out at natalkradio.com and subscribe today. Buy event tickets straight from our website to help the cause and get tickets to your favorite events for less. That's natalkradio.com. Thanks for listening.
Playoffs. How you guys doing? It's Daily Dive. Welcome back. Thank you for tuning in for the Pat Gregoire segment. We said 145. I feel like an hour for what just happened this weekend. Good for us. So Captain has been waiting for this. He will join us very shortly. We want to let you know, hey man, we know that Canadians can't really get the NLL merchandise on natalkradio.us/NLL. So head to natalkradio.com and click the event tickets tab. And Canadians, you can do that. Hopefully they're not sold out. I know there's going to be a lot of barns that probably will be. But we're excited for you guys. Again, here is the playoff schedule. Not too shabby. So Denver, Saskatoon, Duluth, and Vancouver. We're looking at you. If you're going to that game, do it with natalkradio.com and click the event tickets tab. A man who got to see a very fun brawl. A man who got to see if Emerson Clark is even any good or if he's just there to start fights. Captain! Welcome. How are you doing, sir?
I'm not bad. Yourself?
I'm great. How was the trip, sir?
No, pretty good. Going to Oshawa on Saturdays is much easier than the Friday battle. So hoping
Oof.
next season they have a lot more Saturday games than Friday games.
Right. I want to give a shout out to Max, obviously, and I want to give a shout out to the Tim Hortons Cup. I told people I was going to do a Daily Dive best segment of the year, and I thought the Tim Hortons Cup would have won that if I would have stuck with it, but I decided not to. But man, because in hindsight, that we did those teams on those weeks when San Diego and Halifax were dead to rights both times we did that. So that's impossible. What happened?
Yeah, and just the fact that not only did we do 3 weeks of it, but we skipped. I think we skipped a week in between. So I had a random cup just sitting here.
Right.
So the odds that first off we rolled up 2 winners on the show, and then the fact that it just
makes you want to find the ladder, don't it?
it makes me want to just lay all my bets on the cup for all the playoffs here and see.
Did you bet Georgia on Sunday? Please tell me you did.
So actually I did. I bet Georgia on Sunday just for the fact that
they won a home playoff game.
Well, yeah, we were talking briefly about that. And then, I got thinking, I was like, well, obviously nobody wants to play in Bandit Land, man, regardless. So, that new Discord I'm on to try to kind of show or bring a few more followers to the NLL. I actually snuck in the -1.5 for Georgia on that.
Easy.
For those people. So we had a few people watch the Sunday game out of that crowd. But yeah, I learned a few things too, I want to say, with these final games of the year, but I'll touch that when we talk about the Mammoth later. Let's get on the Dogs first.
Well, before we do that, I want to ask you, are you tickled by any of this stuff?
I like it. I got to double check. I could have sworn I seen FanDuel had the top 4 teams all with some sort of plus 400 odds. Because in my mind, I was thinking why wouldn't you put $1 on all 4 top teams if they're all +4 and change?
You're correct. So Buffalo, Vancouver, Colorado are plus 440 on FanDuel and plus 470 for the Rush.
Yeah. So
wow.
I was talking to myself last night. No, I don't know. DraftKings didn't have anything up, nor did Bet365 or MGM. Okay. But it's something to maybe catch a sleepy book for the futures. Because
compare that to the DraftKings. Bandits plus 350, Vancouver plus 400, Saskatchewan's plus 450, and Colorado's plus 500. They're all different, even though they're not like 50-50s and all that stuff.
Yeah, but that FanDuel one might
weird.
Really, yeah, if you can get the top 4 teams at +4 and change, I think it's worth spreading some coffee money to have a Timbit to win a Timbit, basically. But
hey, who am I right now? A sleepy book. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So we'll see.
As for
the week's early, so we'll see what books do what.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time again, Captain. Thank you for waiting for the first segment. What a fun segment that was with Pat.
Great.
And thank you for your comments. I think, again, the Buffalo thought you brought up, is it a Georgia thing or is it more of a Buffalo? That was a great point, Mike. All right. Now, San Diego on Friday, and Pat kind of teased this a little bit, how, they kind of ruined the dramatics. Like some people were saying that, even though we did get some dramatics, which we'll get to our next games, the Seals did beat the Dogs in a very back and forth late night Friday night game, 14-12 in that game. There were 9,500 reported in attendance there. Pachanga. Zach Courier, start of a great weekend. 5 goals for a guy who's known as a two-way guy. I don't know if you saw the play where he throws it on the back of the net and then picks it up before anyone else does. Holy cow. Could also be a Desert Dogs goalie syndrome happening there, but we're not going to talk about that. So Seals make it to the playoffs because once Georgia beat Rochester, it was over. So Kevin, let's talk about the Seals. I'm sure you probably have caught that Friday game by now. What Seals? I mean, they're like kind of like Halifax. They're a team that has played these contenders close, and they don't seem to be afraid. We know their history going into Colorado. They always lose to Colorado being the favorites, but now they're the hungry dog. Do you think the Seals have a chance here to at least make it past Colorado?
Boy, oh boy.
Uh,
Do the Seals have a chance? I'm gonna, depending on like a healthy Q, obviously.
oh yeah.
Yeah, if we can determine the Mammoths lineup, that'll determine the odds of the chance. But I'd probably sit at about a 20% chance.
With a healthy Q?
Yeah, with a healthy
Okay.
Q, 20% chance. Without a healthy Q, probably like a 30% chance they pull that off in the Loud House.
So you still think like, and we're talking about mainly Seals, but you like Chrome to your dome life on the line. You think that like you think Colorado is that much better? Because I kind of agree with that. I believe.
Yeah.
Playoff Lord, playoff Regulieri, you know.
Yeah, and I also don't believe you got to put much onto the Calgary or the loss to Calgary either.
Right.
But yeah, I love the Mammoth here at home, single elimination.
Who knows if Colby Bowman is Jesus Christ in disguise? But even if he's not, Captain, we are alive and well in the Colby Bowman fan club. That's all I know. That is all I know. But you're right. So, and we're going to get to that Calgary game very soon here. But San Diego, like Halifax, I know Halifax had to have the door open from Ottawa for that to happen. San Diego, though, could also have laid down. And granted, it's like, well, we wish they would have started better. And their offense is about as bad as Georgia's sometimes. But transition, defense, and goaltending has been doing the Lord's work. And I think the Seals showed, I mean, albeit Vegas goalies, they showed they can spark up a couple of times on offense. Now, in a pointless game too, let's talk about the Dogs because they got a late win, even though in a game it didn't matter. The Seals still played their guys. So final thoughts on the Seals, and was the Dogs season a success in your opinion?
Final thoughts on the Seals. I don't have too many because I'll be honest, I didn't watch the back and forth of that one too much with everything else going on this weekend, especially the second game.
Oh yeah, of course. Going to the second game. Yeah.
Yeah, dog season a dog season a success. I'm gonna say yes, despite the fact that like a few teams like Oshawa might have done a little worse than expected, especially with Buffalo 2 having a brutal start to the season. It kind of made the Dogs look good and give them the playoff hope.
Yeah.
But I'll say a success because if they get a healthy Chase Frazier back, the Tyson Bell thing, like I'm surprised. I thought that was totally a kind of a rental piece for this season, but they've got him next season, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, Tyson Bell. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I'm sure he's staying, of course.
I think they've added a few good pieces. Hammer Jackson's showing some light at the faceoff dot too. So yeah, I think they had a great success this season. If the whole team shows up healthy to start next season, we're good. What are they doing with their goaltending? That might be something for a 2 to 3 year plan,
right,
on that end, or like if the offense can carry them to a top 4 spot, then they might want to deal a goaltender at the deadline type of thing next season. But yeah, I'm gonna say it's a success in Las Vegas.
So I looked at my preseason rankings or my predictions. I actually had Vegas finishing 8th at 8-10, and I feel pretty good. If they finish 8-10, they just didn't make the playoffs. Like I had the Seals at 6-12. Oh well. I don't feel bad about that because they really did have a down year. They just didn't have as down of a year as I expected them to. But no, I think I'll go yes on success only because of one person, Chase Fraser. Because I firmly believe that, like, the talk, I don't care what the dogs say, their people and their media were pushing them up, like, hard. And I think if Chase Fraser was healthy, I think based on what we saw Kluche do, I think they make the playoffs. I do. Whether it be 99, he matters at least for one game. And I think that when you caveat the fact they still were down to the final week, their goalies were not very good, like I thought they wouldn't be. But Sean Williams, to his credit, pushed the right button so they could have a chance at the end of the season. I think I'll give them a pass because, like I said, Chase Fraser was not there. And again, their fans, dude, showed up. And shout out real quick to Aaron Crouch from AM Drive, a show I used to do. He lives in Vegas. His buddy has season tickets for the Dogs, and he invited him to like some Rio team celebration. And so like he was there with the season ticket holders, kind of like what Troy did with the Black Bears.
Yeah.
He was kind of there, like he should make some pictures of like the Dogs and their cheerleaders, like giving out team awards. That was kind of cool. They're growing that thing really good. I love seeing that. So
I think they got a good future there for a fan base perspective.
It feels better than it does in San Diego, and it's the same freaking owner. It's ridiculous.
Well,
It doesn't make any sense.
San Diego's good. It's just it's so dark on TV. You can't really make out how many people are there, what kind of party is in the background.
But I keep saying, man, Friday night, those late night Cooper Perkins games, they are special. All right. Let's move on to Calgary against Colorado. You said you didn't put much weight into the loss for Colorado. So, based on the way this bracket did fall, Colorado would have been on the side with Buffalo. Now, there's an argument to be made. The Mammoth might just be better than the Rush and the Rock, which means if they are, I mean, Rush to me is still to be determined, even though they fell off the map. If the Mammoth locked into the 2 seed, and almost like if Andrew Q is back, they get themselves to the finals just by being healthy, it could have been worse things for the number 2 seed. But I ask you, do you think that like the 1 seed, like were you disappointed or kind of, I don't want to say disappointed because you're not a Mammoth fan, but like were you kind of surprised they couldn't beat Calgary?
No, I wasn't surprised. And the reason why I'm going to say it is because I kind of noticed a similar thing from a capping perspective over this weekend. And that's that Buffalo on the road in Oshawa, Colorado on the road in Calgary. Oshawa and Calgary basically kept the full squad together for the game. Their last game's at home, something to prove for the fans. So they had a lot to play for. Sure. Now, you'll say on the contrary, Buffalo had a lot to play for because first
home playoff game.
Yeah, the host playoff game. Colorado has a lot to play for, top seed sort of thing. But what I've seen in those 2 games is that, especially with the Bandits, like, okay, Dougie really did goalie them in the first bit. But once it hit a certain point in that game where the players kind of realized we're going to have to kind of break our backs to find a way back in this game.
Right.
And you start to see the mentality switch that, you know what, like we're already playing next week. We're down here on the road. Like, let's try to, stay healthy, work on a couple things and get ready for the next week. Whereas Saskatchewan and Toronto, like they were both 2 playoff teams kind of looking for an edge. And then Vancouver played essentially like a farm team with how many people Philly sat.
Oh, it was bad, dude.
So yeah, I don't hold a lot to the loss of Buffalo or the Mammoth this week. But I definitely think, with a healthy Q, it'll be much different. Even though they showed against Saskatchewan that they can still, hang with the best of them. And that's why I didn't give San Diego as much credit as I think, even though I'm definitely eating my shoe for the fact that I sat on this show before the Cup and said They're garbage. They're not making the
Before
playoffs.
the cup is crazy.
The end of their season schedule so bad.
Right.
It's
Oh
so
my God.
tough. And yeah, the cup slapped me in the face, and my shoe tastes real good this week.
It sounds like the ZJs almost. They're like, what does it taste of the shoe compared to the ZJs? I'm kidding.
You gotta pay. You gotta pay to play, bro.
I love it. So good point. And also, I want to say, historically speaking, I said this before this week, and I don't really like to put too much weight into this, but I did mention it on the Friday show. Last year on March 25th in Albany, a very bad Firewolves team beat a very good Bandits team. That historically, for whatever reason, and I picked the Mammoth to trump that, and almost lost to Tim Dillon and pick him, but I did win, thank God. I couldn't believe that Colorado historically had lost in Calgary, and they did it again. Like, why? It's almost like the rough. Yeah, I'm back. It's almost like I died. No, it's almost like the Roughnecks, like they hate them, and I don't know why.
It's a big
unbelievable.
rivalry.
But why?
It's a good rivalry. I don't know.
It was awesome though, and I think that the Colby Bowman thing is incredible. But for Colorado's offense, you say they probably have still a 60-70% chance to get past San Diego in round one, even without Andrew Q.
70 to 80.
Okay, so question. I was being nice to you. Question for you. Do you which of the if let's say Andrew Q is out long term, because we still have no clue, which of those teams between Saskatchewan and Toronto do you think they want to play? Like, who would the Mammoth be more comfortable playing without Andrew Q?
So you're saying if they beat San Diego and you're looking at the next week, who would they be more comfortable playing with it?
Without Andrew Q, yeah.
So without Q, boy, oh boy, that is very tough. Both like Saskatchewan and Toronto are very, very identically built teams, other than the fact that like you have a rookie version versus like a veteran core type of thing.
I would say they'd rather play the Rock because it is rookies, and I hate saying that, but now even if Mark Matthews plays, like Saskatchewan has the last year's finals loss in their back pocket that's killing them. The Rock are just like, oh, we're not even supposed to be here yet, you know? And the fact that the boys played so great early is great, but they're like house money. For Saskatchewan, they're going to go to hell trying to beat you.
Yeah. So
it's crazy.
I'm going to say like, boy, oh boy. I'm going to go opposite, because I feel like Saskatchewan just, and maybe, well, you like some people can call it fall off, but like maybe there was no need for them to like flex all season. You know what I mean? Like they might have just been the steady train in a sense. You got to look at a couple of these like gritty comeback wins lately too. So, with all that said, I'm going to go with the Rock, just because if the rookies get cooking with Matthews coming back, I'm going to put a little bit more weight on Rosie over Frankie. Ooh. And that's just because I really didn't like the way Frankie moved all season. So if you're going to play, if you're going to play a fast firepower filled offense, like Rosie's going to be your guy versus Frankie, I think. So, I'm gonna say it's the Rock, and that would be.
So you're saying that they would rather play.
They would rather play Saskatchewan,
right,
than the Rock, yeah. Because if the rookies get cooking with Matthews, and like Rosie's got something to prove, man.
I feel like the Rock have beaten better teams this year. Like they've looked way more scary against those teams. Here's the thing.
The Rock is also weird because like they haven't quite had 2 weeks in a row with the same full squad, and in all honesty, like with Rosie and Halachuk going back and forth, and then you think everyone's back, and then Matthews out the last 2 weeks. So they're going to be a dangerous squad in the playoffs for sure.
Based on what I know behind the scenes about Mark Matthews' exits from Saskatchewan, buddy. Woo. Anyways, I I just want to mention about the what I said. I talked about with Pat briefly earlier. I had said, like, when the Rush were on this train, I was like, the Mammoth would be a very interesting matchup because they get their shots on goal and they play that defense with Dylan Ward. Like, they're not afraid. Like, some teams like Vancouver, they seem like they're kind of like, oh, no, you shoot, to make us all happy. For Saskatchewan, well, for Colorado, it's like they don't care who scores. Like, as long as someone's cooking, Will Malcolm, Jack Hanna, Andrew Q, they don't ever seem egotistical. And I feel like they can beat a Rush team. And man, without Andrew Q, obviously that gets a little bit tougher. But I still think the way they went 7-0 against the Rush without him, they might be able to last to the finals without that guy. And can you imagine if he comes in again and just saves the day and they win? That'd be crazy. Oh. All right. Vancouver did get the 1 seed. I have a very interesting thing I want to tell people that I don't know if it was mentioned on the broadcast. It probably was. But the Philadelphia Wings, like, there was a report that, like, Brandon O'Neill was out and all this stuff. Brandon O'Neill was a scratch. And I don't know if it's because the roster size just meant even an injured guy to be scratched because they didn't have enough roster spots. That was weird how you get that big win in Philly and then you scratch him. I thought it was very, very odd. I'm hoping for their sake he's hurt because I don't like that. I thought you play your best guys no matter what. And I thought it was weird.
Dude, I have a weird, so like, again, Captain thinks in such different ways, but out walking Max, I got to ponder because, like, they sat so many guys, and in a week-to-week league, you think they want to play, they want to be competitive.
But the NFL doesn't do that.
No, I get that. But on the other side of things, I'm looking like, okay, I'm a really good player. I got good stats. Mm-hmm. Our last game of the season, like, we just did very well in our home barn and, like, good emotions leaving. But the last game would be against Delbs and the Warriors. I'd be thinking, like,
preserve the health and the number 1 draft pick. I don't know.
How about you sit me, coach, just so that it can kind of keep my shot percentage and all that up,
That's right.
Look like I get a few more goals per game over the course of my career type of thing. Again, like, I don't put much on what I say because I just think in a different way. But yeah, maybe some players thought, hey, you know what? I'm not going to go up against Delbs. I'll let some of the younger guys play and see what we're dealing with next season. And
the biggest retort to what I said about Brandon O'Neill's scratch thing would be, like, they actually have the number 1 draft pick now. And if their franchise is still afloat, Paul Day might be trying to play 3D chess and not checkers with us right now. So, now, granted, I've given him credit before, and they fell flat on their face, so it is what it is. But I just want to mention you, something, Captain. Everyone hates to see this guy coming. That's all I know.
I was I'm so lucky to have gotten to watch him live there. And
last week. You're right. He is nuts. What was his ritual in between the play like?
To be honest, I actually didn't notice all that much because I was just kind of blown away at how well he plays. And then typically in the second half, I get to wandering around the barn to different angles and stuff. So I didn't catch. I think I was too focused on just how bad of the body language Walsh had going for him in that game. So I never really caught Bowman.
I have breaking news here, Captain.
Talk to me, Goose.
Vancouver versus Halifax and Saskatchewan versus Toronto will both be on TSN.
Yes.
This news is releasing tomorrow, by the way.
Oh,
And then Colorado, San Diego. This is not. Is this real? Colorado's no, it's real. I'm just checking the schedule. Colorado, San Diego will be on ESPNU here in the States.
that'll probably mean we'll get live betting if it's on ESPNU.
Don't tell me that. So real quick here, Captain, that means the Saskatchewan-Toronto is the one game not being nationally broadcast based on that information. Oh, I lied. No. So this is okay. So I lied. That it trumps what I just said. So I know both those games are at 9:00 for Saskatchewan, Toronto, and then the Colorado San Diego game. But so Canada fans will get to see Saskatchewan, Toronto at the same time. So that's a good. I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
Like, great. I keep saying USA fans don't care for ESPNU. Like ESPN and ESPN2 is where you want to be, but that's a nice little caveat if we got that. So could be worse. So Georgia, that's the one. Georgia versus Buffalo. Now that's curious to me though. I know it starts 90 minutes before the Rush game, or excuse me, before the Colorado game, which would make like no sense, like because that the game would start too soon. But I do wonder if, like, I just feel bad for Duluth fans, man. Great point. Well, hey, if we're not packing out the barn, let's screw them again. Let's get them on no national TV. Woof. Woof. I would assume CW would have that game in Buffalo, right? Maybe?
Probably have to ask around.
Which game are you let's do one more thing before I let you go. Which game are you most looking forward to in the single game elimination?
Oh boy. Obviously, man, you're gonna make me choose one. Like they're all good.
Oh, please.
Geez. I'm gonna go petty. I'm gonna go Buffalo and the Swarm because I'd be so sweet to see George upset the Bandits.
I know Adam Levy talked about it, maybe teased it. I think there's a strong possibility I actually pick George in this game. I'm not doing it yet, but I'm like, I can see myself switching back, but like, something is just like, Brad Dobson is on some kind of run. And if that Buffalo offense gets a little bit like, not saying they would, but like, we've seen it at times this year.
Dude, like they got goalied that first half in Oshawa for sure. Like Dougie stole the show. So they're going to go up against Dobson and he could very well do the same thing.
Because you said that game, that was going to be my pick. I'll do another one. I will do Saskatchewan, Toronto, because I am curious if the Rush are like, if the Rush are still that good. You can't play around through with Toronto, man.
Yeah, and also too, like playing each because that was my second guess. Just knowing that they just played each other, so there'll be a little bit of emotions left over from last week for sure.
So, epic comeback in like the final minute. Come on.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And finally,
I'm excited for all 4 games, man.
And I kind of actually I didn't give away my pick there. Who do you think is most likely to pull off the upset?
Most likely to pull up the upset.
I guess Georgia would. Do you think Georgia would be favored? There's no way they're favored in that game.
You're gonna hate me, man, but like I got futures on Vancouver, but I could see Halifax just the way.
I was gonna say Halifax.
The way they, like
they're on such a run, and Vancouver's been like you're like in a car with someone who's like keeps on putting on the brakes, like speed up. That's how it is with Vancouver right now. Like they keep on, they're so good and they're so good. And
out of all the teams, like their offense can go pretty quiet pretty quickly. And like the team they're playing against isn't the team you want to have that happen because they will, like Halifax will control the faceoff. Their boy scored this year. So he's ready to do that again against Elbs, and they had a close one last time. And I'm sure if he has one of his out of world performances like he has pretty much all season long here and there, then like that's aiming up for me to lose all my future bets.
Appreciate you, Capitone.
I'm out of here.
The Seals, by the way, stole your thunder. Like the Capitone. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Thank you, man. Thank you again. Stay safe. We'll see you again this week, man.
Talk to you later.
Ooh. Listen, man, we got people give us our good time here, all right? Before I move to 3 stars on the other side, I want to mention that this week on Dilly Dive, tomorrow we will announce the Fresh Fits bracket, the one where you, the fans, decide over the best teams or the best dressed players in the NLL. Also, on Wednesday, I'll be doing the mics. So I will have MVP, goalie, GM, head coach, assistant coach, rookie, offensive player, defensive player, best two-way player, golden lunchbox, and breakout star awards. Also on Tuesday, I just want to let you guys know, I will do a top 8 playoff power rankings. Thursday's show will be a massive playoff preview. I'll try to get quite a few guests for that show for different teams. And then Friday, weekend preview. Weekend preview. Cannot wait for that. So stay tuned all week long here on Daily Dive. We come back. One more segment. Final edition of 3 Stars of the Weekend for season 4. Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to North American Talk Radio, the all-new talk radio station featuring sports, movies, politics, mental health, and more. Check us out at natalkradio.com and subscribe today. Buy event tickets straight from our website to help the cause and get tickets to your favorite events for less. That's natalkradio.com. Thanks for listening. You're listening to North American Talk Radio, the all-new talk radio station featuring sports, movies, politics, mental health, and more. Check us out at natalkradio.com and subscribe today. Buy event tickets straight from our website to help the cause and get tickets to your favorite events for less. That's natalkradio.com. Thanks for listening.
T_TERO on Twitter said about the Lacrosse 26 video game. He says, I'm going to need all the crappy Madden players to switch over to Lacrosse when this comes out. Friday, by the way. Wow, it's going to be fun. I need a PS5. It's like, what should I do first? Invest in going to Duluth 4.5 hours away or get a PS5? Like, there's never been a better time for me to buy a PlayStation 5. It's fine. I'll be fine. This is exactly how I started the show. I will be fine. Welcome back to Daily Dive, the only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talk show on the planet. It's been a very happy 420 for all those who observe. I'm stupid. Thank you to Pat Gregoire for coming on the show and to Captain. Again, big week of the NLL. Don't forget on Friday, you will not only be able to vote on our Fresh Fits bracket after it's announced Tuesday. We're going to have a playoff bracket from the crew here. So myself, Captain, and Tim Dillon will have a playoff bracket. So I think last year I won it over Leroy and Captain, I think. So I'll have to check back on that. But that's coming Friday as well. Now my preseason pick was the Vancouver Warriors. So whatever. But yeah, we all want to thank Pat and Captain for coming on today's show. In case you missed it, Greggie's Grinder, the winner, went to Colton Armstrong, who I then nicknamed Arm & Hammer. And my Mike's Lunchbox went to Tyler Pace. Now, 3 stars of the weekend. No graphics to show because I'm a lazy bum. But the 3rd star this week for me, Colby Bowman. 47 saves and 6 goals allowed in relief. Back-to-back weeks, he comes in relief and single-handedly wins the game. Great job for Colby Bowman, representing the Colby Bowman fan club. I made that, by the way. 2nd star, 1 goal, 11 assists, 9 of them were primary, and 5 loose balls. I'm talking producer Donville, Jonathan Donville, in a game that meant nothing, was cooking. And I want to mention that one of the greatest nicknames in lacrosse, at least I think should be his nickname, now producer Donnie or producer Donville is nice, I get it. Johnny Appleseed was pretty good. Like, I think he reached 250 career assists, and the dog's social media called him Johnny Appleseed. Not too bad. 1st star. Now, you guys know I do not give a player from like a guy who had a doubleheader does not get his stats combined. It's only 1 game for me. So, that still being said, Brett Dobson, in the 1st game against Rochester, 50 saves, 6 goals allowed, 1 primary assist. I want to get to a tweet of mine from that night, from that afternoon, because I feel like it applies here. Shout out again to Brendan McDaniels, who was talking about the MVP should be Brett Dobson. I'm going to go back to when the Swarm won that game, and I found out that Dobson had 50 saves. Real quick, shout out to Todd LeBranch, who retired after 25 seasons reffing in the NLL. He retired at the Warriors Wings game. Scrolling to it now. One day, one lonely day. Oh, I said Brett Dobson's 50 save performance might have at least locked up his Goalie of the Year award. And dare I say MVP? I don't know. On, like I said, Wednesday's show, I will do an entire awards show. We're going to have fun with that. I will give you my 3 finalists for every award, and of course 3 with 1 being the winner. But tomorrow's show is the final edition of regular season Fresh Fits, and we will announce the brackets. And then we're also doing championship recipe tomorrow and my 8 playoff power rankings. Thank you so much for tuning into this edition of Daily Dive. We went for an hour and 45 minutes because that's just what we do. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm your host, Michael Karvelis, saying we'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place, 1 o'clock Eastern here, North American Talk Radio's YouTube channel. This has been Daily Dive. Bye. Playoffs?
You're listening to North American Talk Radio, the all-new talk radio station featuring sports, movies, politics, mental health, and more. Check us out at natalkradio.com and subscribe today. Buy event tickets straight from our website to help the cause and get tickets to your favorite events for less. That's natalkradio.com. Thanks for listening.